the hall today talking about Hall of Fame with Liz Lottmann,
Hello.
the one and only. Thanks for joining us today.
I'm honored. Thanks
I
for
wanted
asking.
to sit down with you and discuss all things Hall of Fame. Number one being you. I would like to go back and kind of give an introduction to who Liz is, to the Ozark Blues Society, and to all of the many projects that you have had your hand in over the years in our area.
You're really taxing my memory today, Amanda. Huh. You know, at my age, it didn't come easy.
You've been doing this in Fayetteville. Are you from Fayetteville?
I'm from Northeast Arkansas, Jonesboro.
From Jonesboro. When did you move here?
I think it was 94, 95, in the middle of there somewhere.
Were you previously involved in music before you moved here?
Yes.
What was that like?
I was first on stage at age 14 with, ironically, an all-girl band in Jonesboro. And now
Nice.
I'm in an almost all-woman band. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yep. Been
So
doing it since then.
you moved here in 1990s. What did Fayetteville or Northwest Arkansas music look like to you at that time?
When I didn't come here for the music. I came here because I was burned out. I'd really just been at it for so long. And I wanted to come back to Arkansas, kind of get my roots back, figure out what I wanted to do. So I was able to build a house. Chose Bella Vista as where I'd be located because my brother was a home builder there, and he really helped me out a lot, making the decision on where to move. So I just kind of, I don't know, I got a straight job, and I thought a lot about where to move forward. Went down to Dixon Street, and then I saw some bands, saw the Cape Brothers. I had just come from one of the best music scenes ever, which was Rochester, New York, and New York City. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, if this is the level of musicianship here, I think I might have to get back into music. So that's what I did. And it took me about a year and a half. And then I got hooked up with some of my fellow Northeast Arkansans, David Johnson. I don't know if you remember David.
I do.
He formed a band, and I sang in it. And that's how I started getting to know all the musicians, just by playing out. Our first gig here was at Chester's.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember that date?
No.
Do you remember who you played with?
Well, it was David Johnson, Coy Hurd, and I can't remember all the guys. It's been a long time.
Has it always been blues for you?
No.
What else?
I'm a Memphis musician. A lot of people think I'm a blues singer, but I'm not. I love blues, but my heart and technique lends itself toward a kind of a rock blues.
Nice. That's a little known fact. I was not. Now, I was born in Millington, Tennessee.
Yeah, no, Millington well. I
And-
lived in Memphis for a long time.
And so I had a lot of influence from that area
Yeah.
with music and with my dad. My dad was in his 40s by the time I was born. He was from a small town in Mississippi. And I didn't quite get into blues until, I hate to say it, until he passed away. You know, and it was me
Yeah.
kind of trying to reconnect to a part of something that I just was buried in me and I grew up with. It was inherent.
Right.
So, Ozark Blues Society,
Yep.
founded in 2002. Was that you?
I did not found it, but I joined as a board member the next year.
So early on.
Yes, and was essential planner for getting honest-to-God blues artists here.
Yes.
Just amazing. Willie Big Eyes Smith, Robert Jr. Lockwood, an incredible lineup for our first blues festival. I was just thrilled.
And those are connections you feel like that you made from being in the music scene in Northeast Arkansas? Or?
Well, if you look back at those guys' history, they're all from my old stomping grounds over there in Northeast Arkansas and further down to Helena, down Highway 49.
Nice.
Blues Highway. That's the highway that took all those guys up from out of the cotton fields, up through Memphis, and then up through St. Louis, and then up through Chicago, and all those different styles of blues.
It created a circuit that is unique, I think, to that genre that you don't necessarily find in the larger market music. And I keep bringing up the Blues Society because that is how I met you.
Yeah.
I was at Jose's on Dixon.
Yep,
One of the
absolutely.
classic essential venues from
That's
Northwest
it,
Arkansas.
essential.
And I believe I was visiting Isaiah Warford was playing.
Oh
and
my gosh, he was a baby.
we were young.
You were a baby.
We were very young. I went to high school with him, and I had moved back to Northwest Arkansas from Mississippi and didn't know what to do, didn't know what my friends were doing. He's like, hey, I'm playing at this little place on Dixon Street. I'm like, okay, so that's where the adults hang out. Let's go see what that's like. And I remember a clipboard being put in my face, and you were like, sign up.
That's it. You want to sing? Here you go.
And that was the end of it for me personally. That kind of dragged me happily into a community that I have since never known.
I don't think there's an equal. You know, I've played music really pretty much around the world, and there is a really strong community here. Memphis it's a strong community, but it truly is competitive. Here, it's helpful. Yeah. All the musicians, all the artists care for each other and help each other. So that was in my heart to do, and that's why I found the Blues Society to be helpful in that way, because we were sending people like you to Memphis.
Yes.
To compete and get national attention from the real people in the business.
You were creating a real stage, a real platform, plucking people from obscurity, from busking or sit-in jams or wherever, putting them in front of a crowd, maybe for the first time in their lives, and providing an opportunity to put them on a world stage.
That's right, and it happens through that International Blues Challenge every year that they have it. And, you know, I don't know when this is going to air, but we're recruiting bands to sign up as we speak for this year's competition.
Do you have a band signed up yet? I know that it's just now starting to open up the...
It's September 1st, and I know of bands who want to enter, but I'm not going to say, just in case they haven't entered.
Well, I hope that you get a large participation for it. I feel like the blues is a genre that is absolutely never going to die, and I love seeing younger people be wildly successful at the oldest genre.
Unbelievable. I'm also involved in the Pinetop Perkins Foundation, and they do an annual workshop with young, very talented, already skilled young musicians for a whole week with Grammy-winning mentors.
Wow.
In a workshop with all the various instrumentation, vocals, everything. It's an immersion, and the kids that come out of this will blow your mind.
And so you take that experience and the connections that you make there, again, on a national level, and you bring that home to blues in schools education.
Yes, and we really right now are starting to really get gelled in with that. We're also working with the Music Education Initiative that got started here in Northwest Arkansas. We helped sponsor their event this past Friday to honor Brian Crown.
Brian Crown.
I know, and it was a wonderful event, and there's another part of the community.
And they
coming
provide,
together.
they're gonna be providing instruments to
They
students in
are.
schools.
They are.
That's amazing. I
That's
cannot
right.
believe how fortunate we are to live and work in, like I said, in Northwest Arkansas, where the opportunities, I mean, again, we're sitting here at Fayetteville Public Television. I
I
don't know of another
know.
market in any of the United States. I mean, maybe.
For a community of this population, the services to the community are absolutely amazing.
So when I say Hall of Fame, Liz, who is in your personal Northwest Arkansas Music Hall of Fame?
Well, you know, everybody's going to say the K Brothers
Absolutely.
from the top. I'm thinking, you know, Isaiah's getting there. My gosh, he's been here forever, and he's an extraordinary talent.
Absolutely.
Dawn, Kate, has been
Yes.
singing since she was, I don't know, a teenager. She tells me that she didn't think she could sing in the beginning, and everybody went, "What?" You know?
She's my personal hero.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fangirl for a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Miss
Rachel.
Dawn. I never just say Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
It's Miss Dawn.
Rachel Fields.
Absolutely.
Rachel Fields.
Now
another
Rachel's
one.
been hosting blues therapy for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's church. That is, I mean, that's a dedicated every Wednesday night. We're going to show up. We're going to have a feeling. We're going to have fellowship and provide, I mean, again, it's the opportunities for the connectivity
Yep.
that it almost feels unattainable from the outside looking in. It almost, when you see other markets and again, other outside areas, I don't know of another place outside of Northwest Arkansas that has as many opportunities for musicians to
It's
connect
true.
with each other.
Oh, another person too, Buddy Shoot.
Yes.
Buddy, amazing songwriter, has been writing songs for however, and he's got Memphis roots too.
Give me a Buddy Shoot story.
I can tell you about when they competed in Memphis,
Let's do that.
and I can tell you that I was in the crowd because our Blues Society sponsored him to be there, and I was watching people I knew in the business were there, and they were absolutely glued in to his performance. And he chose songs that were instantly relatable. He chose his songs really well for his competition set. And what struck me about Buddy, and always does, is his extraordinary humility, how laid back he is, and yet is such a powerful performer that draws you right in.
Yeah.
Buddy is an amazing talent.
I love the fact that I can go and he's accessible. It's at the farmers market. I can hear and Miss Brenda Baskin. She sounds
Yeah.
like a songbird.
I
And
know.
Steve, her husband.
Yeah.
They play together, and
Absolutely.
that is Buddy's the Motivator trio.
Yeah.
Together. I'm very appreciative of, as a songwriter, the accessibility to musicians who are willing to share their craft and are willing to sit down and again be humble and just share space with you.
Another thing about musicians here that I've observed is their willingness to be part of fundraisers, drop their normal performance fee way down so that they can help raise money that the community needs or that other musicians need. That it's a family. When one goes down, everybody is there to lift up, or when one needs celebrating, they stand in line waiting to be asked, how
Yeah.
can I help?
That's one of the strongest motivators behind Hall of Fame, and what we're doing is we are building this Hall of Fame to honor and acknowledge the trailblazers of the musicians that have come before us that have created this it's not just an economy, it's an ecosystem that we thrive in. And in order to preserve that, we have to preserve the musicians that create that for us. So the Hall of Fame is going to, in turn, provide health and wellness and resources for musicians in need. We've lost way too many musicians and critical music supporters in our scene to things that maybe could have been prevented had there been another resource or been just a little bit more help offered. One of the things that we're going to be implementing, and I'm getting a little bit off of you for just a moment, but I wanted to share this with you because I do believe it's so very important. We're implementing our social impact awareness months. Over the next few months, we're going to be working with other nonprofits, and I would love to work with the Ozark Blues Society. Can you name other resources around Northwest Arkansas that we should be celebrating?
You've named the ones I'm aware of, but there is, out of the Blues Foundation in Memphis, something called the HART Fund, H-A-R-T Fund. And they help musicians. You don't have to be a blues musician, but you have to be a working musician. Help you with bills such as if you're behind on your rent, about to lose your apartment or your home. And they will help you for periods of time. And I do know several musicians who've really been helped by that. Michael Burks, an Arkansas native blues musician. His drummer applied to the Heart Foundation and got some assistance because when the lead performer in a band, Michael passed away. And when that happens, the band is kind of in a limbo. The whole band is in a limbo.
That was their employer.
Yes. So they really had to do some adjusting. So there are organizations like that, not only just here, but nationally.
Yeah.
And it just takes a little bit of research, and y'all can ask me for help, and I'll put you in the right direction.
I would love to continue with those connections because I have started creating that network for resources nationally and locally because I noticed that there are our friend Clay Vineyard is going through throat cancer and surgeries, or not surgeries, but radiation, chemo. And there's a fund in Kansas City, the Midwest Music Foundation.
Yeah, they're there. That's what they're for.
And in my research, I realized that there's only a few in the United States that are able to provide that are not in unionized states.
Correct.
Our state is not unionized.
Right.
I don't have plans to go start lobbying yet to work on that side of things, but what we can do is kind of be that answer for that regionally here, is to provide those same types of things. So again, that's why I wanted to spend time with you today, is to let you know, welcome to the Hall of Fame, Liz Lottmann. You are one of...
I'm just kind of weird, but thank you. I just don't think
I love weird. And I love the work that you've done and that you continue to do in our community for those that, again, they just want to work. You just want to play music.
Yeah.
You yourself, I want to talk about your personal music career. Can you tell me a little bit what your influence is? This is me being a fangirl of you.
Oh, Amanda, thanks. Well, like I say, my first band was an all-girl band, and it was high school in Jonesboro. And we played parties, and there's this famous venue in Jonesboro, the Hotel Noble. And that's where bands from Memphis and West Memphis came in for our weekly Friday night dances. So I got to know some of the musicians. the legendary Butch Stone, who promoted my friends Black Oak, Arkansas.
Yes.
I grew up with all those guys, and I lived in Black Oak. My grandfather had a cotton gin there, and we lived on the gin lot. And Jim Mangrum used to come over, and my brother had a drum kit. He's a drummer, and we'd use hairbrushes for microphones. And Jim wanted to be a drummer, and he'd get out in front and sing with me, and I'd tell him, Jim, you can't sing, buddy. Get back behind the drums. I remember that just vividly. And then watching his career and watching all my classmates, you know. And I went out, I'd started being a musician in Memphis. When I went over there, I was playing my songs, acoustic guitar, in coffee houses. And I was discovered by Sam Phillips' nephew, Judd Phillips. And he brought me in to meet Sam, and they signed me to a songwriting singer contract. And I recorded quite a bit there and worked there as a backup singer. I mean, they really put me to work, and I learned so much about good recording.
May I ask what a paid contract was like then? We're in a very DIY world now, and so that's I'm trying to
Right.
get a frame of reference.
I was paid by the hour, except when I was recording my own material. That was what we called on spec. So if they sold my songs to an artist to record, I would get royalties from
Okay.
that. So that was all on spec. But when I was doing the backup singing for other artists that came in there, I was paid hourly. I think maybe something like $2.50 an hour, which was back in 1968. That was good money.
Yeah. How many hours a week do you think? I mean, was it a full-time job for you, or?
No, not at all. It was very sporadic, and we didn't have internet or, hey, Liz, come to the studio, you know. It had to be prearranged, and then I knew exactly when I had to be there in downtown Memphis. The other time I was out singing in coffee houses.
Nice.
But I made enough money to pay my rent, but that was the days when band houses, we had band houses. Bands all lived together. And so that made it a lot easier.
Now, if we could only have that now.
Well, it worked really well. We had a really great, all the top floor, 3-bedroom apartment on Central Avenue. Really cool, very easy to get everywhere. I had no car in Memphis at the time, but everything was close by. But I had to take a bus to the studio, but it was cool.
I can't imagine the type of music and the atmosphere that was created with a bunch of musicians living together. That must have been just nonstop.
Oh, it was fantastic, just fantastic. And we all had the same hours. You sleep as long as you like, you know.
As long as somebody gets to the dishes every now and then.
Yeah, well, we had a schedule.
Nice.
Had to have. But we had a huge screened-in front porch that went the whole width of the building, and we would sit out there and jam. And we had musicians that came in to play the auditorium, you know. They would come and hang out, and we'd just jam, and I don't know, it was pretty idyllic. It was all music all the time.
I have had experiences with open mics and jams, but I was almost 30 before I got into that. I'm not ashamed at all to say it. I was a karaoke singer. I would go to my favorite karaoke bar. And,
It's good practice.
And that within itself is a subculture of humans.
Yeah.
You know, especially if they
Still
don't
is.
they don't mind you caterwauling Beyonce. But I digress. That jam, that open mic or a blues jam or any of those type of things, the connections that you make there, the fact that you had probably better say yes to any opportunity
Yeah,
that presents
that's the key.
itself. We almost don't see those around here anymore. it's hit and miss to try to find. Does Ozark Blues Society have any plans to?
We're doing something unusual. One of the reasons we don't have the regular jams with bands lately is because they're very difficult to organize. Really hard to know in advance who's going to come.
It's
And-
working musicians. It's hard to nail them down.
Right. And nobody really wants to pay money to get into a jam. Most of the people at the jam are the musicians who would intend to play, but you still have to pay for the rooms, still got to pay the core band, and it's just difficult.
Yeah.
We used to have a jam every week at George's, but times have changed. But we're going to do something I think is so exciting. The Music Education Initiative, Orson Weems and Greg Thompson have this installation at the Pryor Center downtown. It's called the Juke Joint. Have you been there?
I have not yet.
You've got to go see
I stalked them
this.
on social media, so I've just not made it down there
One
yet.
of my posters is in there.
Nice. We'll have to get a shot of that for the memorabilia.
Yeah, that was really coincidental. They had no idea. But we're going to have front porch jams. It's a small model of an old juke joint, and it's got the front porch. So we're going to have front porch acoustic jams at the juke joint.
Love it.
How cool is that? Of course, there'll be a PA. You can bring electric instruments, but it's not going to be like a blues bar type of thing.
Right.
You're going to have to play it as if it were acoustic to fit in with the mood of the.
That's very reminiscent to me of King Biscuit. When you're walking down
Very
Cherry
much.
Street, you're literally sitting right in front
You're
of
right
a
there.
storefront, and
Yep.
it's a PA, and you maybe have your electric.
That's it. Now, have you been to their jams inside the Delta Cultural Center there? Because they have kind of a front porch
I will be
scenario
going
there too.
in a month.
Yeah.
I will be down there in a month.
Yeah. Oh, so let's see, in a month, that's October, you going to the
I'm
Biscuit?
going to Biscuit.
You need to stay over the Sunday and go to Clarksdale
Yes.
to the homecoming.
Yes.
That's where you're gonna see these young kids that we are working with.
Are you going?
I booked the bands. I booked the musicians.
I will
Yes,
see you
I'll
down
be
there.
there working my butt off. I'll be the one running around, and you'll have to trip me to.
Well,
Let me
since I'll
say
be in
hi.
proximity and I have experience with volunteering, you should give me a call if you need anything, because
Yeah.
I'm fully going down there for the experience. My boyfriend's never been any farther east than Little Rock, and only one time. He's from California.
Yeah.
And it's time for me to take him home to my neck of the woods and let him get comfortable with that.
Being an artist yourself, I would recommend the first time you go is just absorb it.
This will be my second.
It'll be your second to go to homecoming.
Yes.
I never saw you there. How could I miss you while I'm running around?
Yeah, you were running around,
Yeah.
and I didn't stay for very long. I showed up very, very early, and I did not linger around very long. I think this was 2015 or 16
Okay.
that I went.
Oh, that was before I got involved. Those were one of
Okay.
the first years. One reason
But I think
that-
it was your recommendation that I went down there
Yeah.
for that specific
Yeah,
thing.
I was not running
Right.
the music at that time. Now it's one of my great joys of life. Because I get to call up people like Bob Margolin, who played guitar with Muddy Waters. And,
Yes.
Hey, Bob, coming to homecoming? Yeah, well, we don't pay much. Oh, good. I'll see you there.
Yeah, because it's not about
Yes,
the pay.
I just got off the phone with Bob Margolin. I'm a huge fan, and they know it.
I think that's probably the funnest part for me. I
Yeah.
get starstruck by the musicians,
Yeah.
and I get to interview.
But there's no backstage at homecoming. So you're
Everybody's just mingling.
Yeah, you're mingling.
I'm looking forward to going down there. I also want to go to Ground Zero, and
Uh-huh.
I have not been inside. When outside, it wasn't open. I did a whole little daytime
Yeah, Sunday
tour,
they're not open if you're there for homecoming. Yeah.
but I'm very much looking forward to all of it. And I think, again, it's events like that with like-minded musicians
Yeah.
and artists. that's our nerd Comic-Con. That is where we convene.
That's true.
I mean, have you been to the Big Blues Bender in Vegas?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I've usually been gigging during that time. And it's very expensive. Extremely
That's what I was going to say. It seems like
expensive.
the big consumer big leagues, with the people that spend the ticket money versus
Yeah.
the artists who.
I can't do it. But
Have you done a blues cruise?
I have not done a blues cruise.
I see you on a blues cruise soon.
Hey, no,
No?
I won't do it unless I'm there as a performer.
Right. No, I
Because
know. Yeah,
I
no.
can't-
God, no.
No, I you know, a week long of intensive immersion in blues music and the blues people, I don't think I could survive.
It is. It's a bit much.
Well, I'm 74 years old. I can't party like I used to, Amanda.
So outside of blues, put that on the back burner for a second. Who else does Liz listen to? Nationally or locally?
I listen to a lot of Johnny Cash.
Of course,
He's-
another Arkansas artist.
He's my roots boy, I mean, that's where I'm from. And, Johnny took the road up to Memphis, crossed the river, and went to Memphis, and Glenn Campbell did, and, all these artists, they were my heroes, knowing that they were from where I was from, and that they did that with their songwriting and with their music. And then for me to get signed by Sam Phillips too, it was like, but I almost didn't appreciate it at the time, because it was you go, okay, I'm a Sam Phillips artist now.
You're just in the middle of it.
I mean, people work hard to get that, and I don't know how it fell to me. And I think when you're young and you get those opportunities, when you're young, you fail to really appreciate how hard other people work
Yep.
to get there.
Yep.
And I learned later, I'll write a book about my little Sam Phillips adventure someday, but everybody has to die first,
Right?
you know.
So you don't have to go sign waivers for
Yeah.
days.
But that's why I love working with these younger musicians who I know are going to just step off into the working world, and they're 17 years old, like Christone Ingram, Kingfish.
Yes.
Okay?
From the minute I think you maybe you put something on Facebook about him years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it was at homecoming.
I think I said,
he was
y'all
at
need
that
to watch
same
this
one.
guy. Y'all should watch this guy.
And I immediately
Oh,
sent a
just
friend
get chills.
request. And ever since then, it's like watching a star just
Yeah.
shoot across the sky. It's amazing.
First album, Grammy. And these kids, this is what's coming up out of these workshops. And so we talk to these kids about, you're extremely talented, and it's very likely your career is just going to rocket. But I need you to pay attention to the other people here in this workshop whose careers will not.
Yeah.
And they're going to work so hard. And then, being a survivor of the 70s rock and metal bands and seeing them destroy their careers, I'm kind of a good person to have around at those things.
Absolutely. You have to get grounded. You have to have a foundation with which
Yeah.
to continue building your house, or it'll
Yeah.
fall in.
And I want to find more here in Northwest Arkansas. I want to discover these kids, and I want to get them to these workshops, because you don't have to be a blues player to benefit from these workshops.
Absolutely.
You know what I
no.
mean?
The community that's there is
Yep. The community is
So
what
valuable.
every musician needs, and young musicians have their families who often are extremely supportive. But then on the other hand, some of them are fighting their families.
Yeah.
And they need the support.
Sometimes those families aren't quite sure how to support. I'm still trying to figure out how to support my son in football.
Yeah.
Because I have a bass in the corner with an amp and it's all strung and everything
Yeah.
ready, and he picked up a helmet instead.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's kind of how it happens for young musicians. Sometimes they don't have quite that parent that understands them.
Boy, I did.
We could talk about, again, we can go back to Isaiah. He was I will
He
say
was
I remember
14 when I first met him.
let's see, I'm trying to think of if I can remember the exact date he picked up a guitar, because we would stay on the phone overnight and like we would put it on speakerphone and he would practice his little riffs and the song Shine. Remember when he first nailed it, it was his first riff ever. And then fast forward a couple years, I graduated high school. He's still in high school. I'm in Mississippi. My phone rings, and it's Isaiah, and he's in Memphis. Like, what are you doing? I'm at International Blues Challenge.
Right.
Jennifer B. Click. And he was so excited. He had to call and share that. And then
Sure.
it was, ever since, it's just constant watching people, Corey Montgomery, play a little bit of blues and then pick up and leave on out of here. I wanted to kind of go back a little bit, and one of our categories is obviously the late and great. And I know that you had opportunities to work with Cherry Brooks quite often. Can you tell me a little bit about
Wasn't
Miss
really
Cherry?
that often, but Cherry would come to our jams. And I only got to be on stage with her just a couple of times. Force of Nature. And of course, her brother Daryl and her sister Robin. Just extreme talent right there in a little basket. Cherry's dignity, I think, is what really struck me. She had a lot of dignity, and her self-confidence was inspirational. When I started out singing with electric bands, the music does something to me that just makes me, I'm not a lady on stage. Don't call me a lady because it restricts my behavior too much. And Cherry kind of had that same magnetism, and the music gave her force, and that's what it does for me as well. And I recognized there was a sister there, That was Cherry to me.
And you get to sing now with your sisters on stage in
I
the Divas.
I do.
What is that like for you?
Well, first of all, just practically, I don't have to carry the whole night anymore. And that is just such a relief. And I can really pick the songs that I enjoy singing. I don't have to worry about crafting a set that's going to dramatically lead to something, because by the time each lead singer sings the song, it's a little gem in itself, and you don't really have to worry about momentum. You just have to worry about, is everyone being showcased well,
I love that.
And everybody just works hard at it.
What is
just
the
like
future of the
we're pros,
Divas?
we work hard.
Are you ladies going to go back to Memphis and International Blues Challenge anytime soon?
I don't think that's something that we want to do. It was really great at first. I wanted all the other musicians to have that experience, but this isn't sour grapes, but it is a product of the business. The judges in Memphis often are hostile to female leads. They really are. And unless you are a Delta or a Chicago deep hardcore blues singer and black, or black-like in your tone and in your performance, the judges there are usually kind of meh, because they know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And that's all good, and that's all fine. But we are not a hardcore blues band, and we don't try to be, because we have too many various influences.
There's a lot of soul.
Yes, much soul. And I can really be my Memphis blues rocker in that band, and Dawn can be her 70s rock thing, you know.
Ethereal angel.
Oh, my gosh. Rachel can be her gospel thing, you know. Tori can be the sweet, innocent songbird that can still do Aretha with a California flair. You know, it's just, I don't know.
How's Miss O.C. doing? We don't have to, we can cut it. I really genuinely want to know. I love
Yeah.
Miss O.C.
Well, I would like to mention O.C.
Yes.
And,
She's definitely Hall of Fame.
well,
Once
gotta
in
be.
a lifetime, Miss
Got-
O.C.
Oh,
yes.
it has to be. And she's won so many community awards as being the
Yes.
best of, the one. First time I saw O.C. was at a memorial for a drummer here that worked with Paul Hughes and Cherry. But I didn't know anyone in the community then, and it's been so long ago, and I'm so sorry. Apologies, I can't remember your name. But O.C., it was her first time getting up to sing. It was one big jam, and she sang along with a karaoke track. And I thought, I see a lot of potential there, but people are going to love this person, you know? And every time I knew that O.C. was going to be out somewhere, I'd go and just kind of watch this person come out through her music and her beautiful voice. And then to be able to sing with her on stage and make jokes with her and have fun in performance with her. I miss her terribly, terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one day I was pulling in Dollar General in South Fayetteville, and I had to swing wide. That driveway is not very wide, but the car that was trying to come out of it was, and it was Miss O.C.
And she wasn't the greatest driver in the world either.
She flagged me down.
She doesn't drive now, thank goodness.
Yes.
Bless her heart, I
This
love
was
her.
not very long. This was only about 3 or 4 years ago. So she didn't need to be driving at all. But
Yeah,
she
I
flagged me
know.
down and put the
Yeah.
car, it was in the driveway, put it in park, got out, big hug. I mean, the most enigmatic personality. She is a firefly. At least a little spark of beautiful energy.
Yeah. You know, just, I don't want to discuss her health situation, but doesn't look good, Amanda. So please just,
We will definitely do that. If I could get you to do one thing for me and for the Musicians Connection, one message that I find very, very important to get across is what we're discussing is
Yeah.
musicians' health and wellness.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to provide that, and so I'm kind of asking my interviewees to maybe look into the camera and say music is mental health. And music health matters, and musician health matters.
if you ask me to do that, it's going to make me get very political because we all know what we need to do in order to have health care
Let's
for
get
every
political.
citizen.
Sister, I'm right
in
here
this
with you.
nation. And if we're able to do that, musicians will have their health care. It is just a matter of putting the correct people in office who are going to understand it will not bankrupt this nation. Canada isn't bankrupt. Great Britain isn't bankrupt. France isn't bankrupt because of their national health care. As a matter of fact, they are better off because they have a healthy working force.
Yeah.
And the families are healthy.
Yeah.
and you don't have to have fundraisers to pay medical bills. So that's my message on health care for musicians.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time today, Ms. Liz. I
Well,
appreciate you.
you're welcome.
Was there anybody else that you think that we should mention while we're here? Because again, I get a little nervous, starstruck, and my mind blanks sometimes, so I don't want to forget anyone. If you
Oh.
can name anybody that we should.
Well, I'm so much older than most performers in the area. There, with a few exceptions. And to me, talking about Hall of Famers, it just, most of the people, names that come to me have passed, And it's a miracle, considering how musicians behaved in the 70s and 80s. It's a miracle I'm here. And I'm forever grateful to those who have gone on before us. And I'm very glad that you're doing this before they have a chance to sit here and talk with you and tell their stories. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Liz. In an industry that is male-dominated,
Getting better now.
it is getting better now, but it's thanks to women like you that have held your ground in this industry and in this business. But what was that like getting started in the 70s for you as an artist?
It's so hard for me to imagine now and then, and how much has changed, thank goodness. I started out in the 60s where chick singers were supposed to be married to somebody in the band, and they had to be very demure and proper and sang sweetly. And this is in the 60s now.
You see my face at
I know.
this.
And I just, I was never like that. Never like that. I couldn't be demure. Although I was very properly raised, don't get me wrong. My family was the founding family, and I know that I have totally embarrassed my family many times. But my mother has always been proud of me. The women in my family were the first woman this, the first woman that in Northeast Arkansas. So I had that background of, we can trailblaze here. I can do whatever I want to do.
That was just another ceiling to shatter for you.
Yeah, and luckily in Memphis, it was so wide open, and I was so lucky to be recruited out of the acoustic world into the Memphis rock world by some extraordinary musicians who seemed to want me as their lead singer and gave me all the rope I needed to develop this Electric Liz thing. And it was hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard. But things were moving along a little bit. But then I went to Los Angeles, and the nightmares about in that time, Helen Reddy was married to her producer. Gloria Estefan was married to her producer. All the women were married to the men who controlled their careers. And I think that was what men did to corral in a female artist and marry them so that they couldn't do anything else but what they were told to do in that marriage.
In my lifetime, that was Celine Dion, Mariah Carey.
Yes,
I mean,
Mariah
it
Carey.
never stopped.
No, they were all married.
And they were quite young,
Yeah,
very,
all
too
married
young.
to the men who controlled them. And I had many offers, trust me, in Los Angeles and in New York City. But as soon as I felt the trap coming down, I was not into it. I wanted to be me. And you know what those decisions did for me? They turned me from being a front person into a musician.
Yeah.
And I would rather be respected by my fellow musicians than have to go through that torture of being a female musician in this business.
Did you find that it kept you
it's
from opportunities?
Oh, yeah, for sure, but they were opportunities I didn't want if that's the price I had to pay.
Yeah.
So that's women in this business, and it is changing now. It seriously is changing
I
now.
mean, now we have a president of the Blues Foundation that is a female.
Yeah.
And locally, we have a president of our local blues chapter that is a woman. So it is very empowering as a woman to see that you will be respected, you will be
Right.
revered, and it's because of the hard work that you have done and will continue to do.
Yeah, and I look at things, I feel like I'm colorblind and I feel like I'm gender blind. I want to work with you if you have that power and if you're working hard. You know, that to me is all that matters. And hopefully that's what people who have opened doors for me have seen. You know, being blind in certain ways, but trusting and acknowledging.
Seeing the work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But you got to have the skill.
that's
You
true.
know, you can work hard if you don't have the skill.
Yeah.
You're not going to go anywhere.
That's very true.
You know, you can work on that. And if you don't have the skill, you can develop other things around it that'll get you there.
Absolutely.
But that's a whole day-long conversation.
Yeah, we can have another episode if you'd like. I would like to have you back on more as we continue building this, because I'm not afraid of your political voice. It doesn't offend me when you speak up for yourself, and you empower me and others because you're using your mind and your heart and your soul, and that is what I want to receive. That is what I want to be around. I don't have to necessarily agree with that guy down the road. I mean, I do agree with you politically for the most part, I do. But as long as you're having that intelligent conversation and you're speaking with passion and intellect.
To me, it's very selfish. I see a path that certain things offer to me, and that's a path I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
It's very evident to me where you need to go to get what you need. First, you start from a base of developing skills, confidence. You have to have the skill. Then you develop the path and you take those skills all the way down the road. And that's all I've been doing since 1964, my very first gig.
One final question that I've asked my other panelists, my guests, my other guests that I've asked. What is success?
If you're lucky in this business to live as long as I have and shared company with extremely successful people, which I have, to see success with someone happy with it, I've seen what that is. And that is everything coming together without hurting you. Okay? That's success.
Yeah.
You can be all the way at the top, you can make millions and millions of dollars with it, but if it has hurt you in some way, that's a whole different road to go through, and I've seen it. As for me, I feel very successful. I really do. I feel confident. I feel that my efforts go toward great accomplishments, not just for me, but for everyone else. And that to me is success.
Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. That was wonderful. That was the best. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, dear.